Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get right into this. One of the things that we absolutely love to do is to bring the pros that are doing great work out in the industry to the stage so we can hear their actual experiences from the trenches. So our favorite thing about Product Summit is that we get to show real world experience from folks who are doing it just like you are and doing incredible business and bring their stories to the stage. This time, instead of doing a massive panel with 4 or 5 people, which after 45 minutes or so can get a little long for not only for the audience, but if you're an attendee, you have to sit there with internet delays and listen to someone else before you can speak. We're going to bring a concept called Common SKU Stories that we've had at SKUCon here and just have these micro interviews with 4 of our favorite guests that we have. First up on stage, Naveen Bansal is the founder and CEO of Outreach Promotional Solutions in Columbus, Ohio. I had a great interview with Naveen on the SKUcast. The interview was called Caring Beyond Commodities. It was fantastic because Naveen has developed an incredible business in his market. And so we're thrilled to have Naveen Bansal to the stage. Welcome, Naveen.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Naveen, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you again.
Yeah, of course.
You spent 8 years in corporate strategy and finance, and you're a CPA. This is kind of an interesting background for a distributor. You kind of made this really interesting career change. How does that experience help you? Before we get into gifting, which we're going to talk about specifically, how does your experience and background in the corporate world and then as a CPA help you strategize with customers on product ideas?
Well, first of all, I think it helps to run a business, right? To be able to have that kind of background. But, for me, I really take a consultative approach with our clients, right? Most of our clients are looking for us to solve their problems around products, around different gifting programs and different things. So I can really come in with that consulting background, with that analytical background, and really kind of identify, what are their pain points and how we can align our solutions to help them out.
Yeah, we're sort of at a really monumental time with our customers and have been over the past 18 months. But something interesting that happened in the industry is that many of us shifted into more strategic roles with our clients, whereas we were treated like sourcing agents in the past. You've not really built your business on that model. You've actually had a strategy model from the beginning. But what advice would you have for us as we're working with our clients as we come into these gifting seasons where gifting projects typically are very, very strategic? What's your advice for us on how we can become more strategic with our customers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I just mentioned it. The approach is problem solving, and really that's kind of our focus. And so I think for anybody, it's kind of taken a few steps. It's really asking a lot of questions. And so, you don't come out and say, we have these products. We can just, sell you some things and do some things. We spend a lot of time up front really kind of understanding what the client needs, what do they care about? Like, what is their end goal? And then, once we determine what their needs are, we can then figure out, where can we really provide value to meet those needs? And so, if one client is telling us, they've really got to hit, they want these gifts out by a certain deadline, and they want to be able to meet a certain price point, and they want some creative ideas around that. We really focus on, identifying those products and really making sure we're really tight on those timelines to meet that goal. And so it is a lot of asking questions, and I think that helps us to be able to align what we offer.
Do you have, you have an interesting business, Naveen, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got like a print model, promotional products. You've got multiple disciplines under one roof. You've done some fascinating things. I think you've even done some consulting on the brand side. Do you have a story that sort of illustrates how you have worked with clients in more of a strategic way?
Yeah, so I think that, probably when we look at, one of our clients, a consulting company, they have about 1,000 employees. We've been able to kind of come in and utilize all those different services, to address what they were looking for. They want an online company store solution. That's where I think Common SKU Shops really helps us out. And so we definitely have been able to leverage our online stores. They were looking for print capabilities, and so we were able to kind of take our print capabilities, our graphic design capabilities, our promo capabilities, our online technology capabilities, and really develop a long-term relationship and a long-term solution that can address all those different needs. That's, I think, where we shine the best and where we've really taken our business. When we first started Outreach, we were really working with almost anybody, and we still love to get clients in, right? But as we moved along in time, we really focused on those clients that really look at, that end-to-end solution, the diverse capabilities we have, and we've been able to kind of, focus on those clients and win those clients, and that's really helped us out quite a bit.
With your model, it sounds like you have a very strategic mindset about growing widely with customers because you're offering various services and just growing deeper and wider all the time. Tell us about the fun part is gifting. Tell us about your favorite gifting project that you've ever created for a customer.
Yeah, so one of our clients is a construction company. They have 6 different brands. And so we do their annual holiday program. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We started their holiday program a few years ago. We did one of their brands, and over time it grew into multiple brands. And so what they were looking for was a way for it. So going back in the past, they were just buying a gift and getting it out to their employees. One gift, maybe it's a blanket or a hoodie the next year, whatever it is. But what they wanted to, what we talked to them about is, offering choice. And so we were able to kind of build a solution out where we developed a pop-up shop for each of those brands, separated their own designs and their own curated products. We basically work with them to pick out 5 or 6 products within a certain price point. So, for example, we'd have like a tumbler, a blanket, a backpack, a jacket, and a tech item. And so we would have those kind of five or so items on each shop, and the fully designed, very beautiful. Obviously, Comiskey shops, again, the plug there, it helps us out to make them look nice. But we were able to kind of get it out to folks. They picked their items out, and then we basically shipped to each home address as a gift. In addition to that, we leverage our print capabilities, and we print a holiday card that goes to each package from the company. And so that experience of being able to develop that really beautiful online experience, offer choice in diverse products, and then do the fulfillment and the printing and everything and get it out. I really like that project because, the holidays are a time where I think folks really do want to feel appreciated. And, I think we're, taking that off the company's plate and really taking the lead in helping make that happen.
A study by McKinsey & Co. showed that 2/3 of B2B buyers across the world two-thirds of them want to interact with us as partners through virtual or digital channels, a third in person. So it's interesting, there's been this shift over the past 18 months, and you doing a shop is an answer to that digital solution. I also think it's fascinating you didn't create one master shop with 6 brands. I think this is a great idea. You had 6 separate shops, is that correct, for each of those brands?
Yeah, correct. I think part of it, in this case specifically, part of it was because they had a little bit of a different budget depending on the brand and a little bit of a different product set. But it also allows us to create a unique experience for each brand, which I think
I love that.
Yeah. Yep.
Did every brand have the same unit value? Sometimes on shops, how did you handle the price variances on products?
Yeah, so we kind of kept everything at the same price point. So,
Obviously,
makes it easier for us. Obviously it creates a, different margin depending on the product. But I think we had to focus on products that had a similar price value so that, it wasn't too much of a big deal for us.
What was the most important to the client with this? You and I have been doing this a long time. Was this a project that client had done over and over every year?
Yeah, I think, a few of the biggest things. One is it was becoming burdensome for the client to be able to kind of curate the product and send it out, get it distributed out to all the folks. And I think they have for being as large of a company as they are, they have a small marketing team. And so, we said, hey, we can take this on for you and help you out. And so I think that was one big thing, was making it easy. I think the online experience really sold it though. Being able to, demo a shop experience, They look great. They're easy to use. They're easy to buy. I think if the experience, some folks in that company are not super tech friendly. Some are. And so having an experience that is pretty easy for anybody, whether you're tech friendly or not, I think made it really easy, and made it good. And then the choice aspect, I think, and like I said in the
Yeah.
past, they were just getting one item. Some folks love it. Some are like, okay, great. Now you're kind of giving folks the chance to really pick out their gift, which I think, creates more of a, the idea that they're actually going to use it, wear it, whatever it is.
Yeah. Which is the ultimate sustainability, right?
Yeah.
This is just it's a great. What was it about this whole campaign that was special to you? Had you done shops before? Was this new part of it, or what was the most important part to you, or the fun part to you that was a little different?
Yeah, so we have done shops before, but I would say probably the last 2 years specifically, we've seen a huge increase in that. And
Yeah.
for us, I think being able to showcase our end-to-end capabilities, I think, is huge. So not only from the
Yeah.
helping them figure out the ideas to the graphic design and the mock-ups and the shop designs, being able to actually, obviously, produce the products, decorate, print, and then fulfill end to end. We can really utilize our entire capabilities in one project, which I think is pretty cool. And for us, candidly, that project offered a lot of learnings for us as we've been moving forward, and we've been able to really get better and better as we increase, our opportunities there. So we've done additional pop-up programs. We do a lot more online stores now. And so, doing that project for several years now, I think this is our third year doing it, and it's just grown. That's allowed us to really grow our capabilities and experiences, so we can then expand our business into other clients.
Yeah, you're really good at this, cross-pollinating one experience that you create for one customer over into another customer and duplicating that over and over. I forgot to ask this. Was that program inventoried, or were they all drop shipped? How did you handle that?
Yeah, so we brought it into our office, and then we pick and pack.
Okay.
So we pick and pack.
Okay.
Fill, and then we've done some inventory projects as well. And actually, that's a growing area for us. We're actually having some new clients, and we're inventorying like new hire kits for like some high growth companies. And so we're seeing a lot of the change in the last couple of years of high growth companies and inventorying products and sending out packages. We're doing a lot of that. We're with the remote workforce and everything. So we're seeing
Yeah. I've been saying for a while that inventory is making a comeback. Are you seeing, that's what you're saying, is you're kind of seeing that. If you had to suggest 2 or 3 tips for gifting or developing projects with clients, I mean, it seems like we always learn something. We think we master the business, and then we have a project that is complex, and then we learn something new. What 2 or 3 tips, what have you learned recently, or what 2 or 3 tips would you leave everyone in the audience with today?
Yeah, so these might sound obvious, but I think the ones that they look at, kind of 3 tips: staying ahead of product trends. And so obviously new products come out every year. I think our clients are always looking for us to come up with something. We always hear like, what's new, what's unique, and how can we stay ahead of those product trends to offer something different? And for us, we curate a custom catalog every year for holiday products specifically, and we get that out to our clients. And so we produce like a digital catalog and we send it out. Focus on solutions. And so I mentioned, with holiday gifting, with all these programs, I think that folks are really looking for not just the products, but how do we make the entire experience really easy? And I mentioned like fulfillment. I mentioned packaging for the card. I mentioned just the online experiences, everything. And then the third thing we talk about is making it beautiful. And so I mentioned like the shops, right? So I think people are really looking for a really visually appealing experience. And so whether it's the online shops, whether it's proposals in terms of winning over those clients, we try to make sure that we're very, very put together in terms of our proposals, our presentations, our online experiences, and the package and everything. So those are probably a few of the tips.
I love that last tip particularly because our buyer is far more sophisticated today. We have one question from the community from Aaron Mars. Forgive me, Aaron, if I messed up the last name, but how do you average minimum requirements in shops? Now, since you did inventory this last time, that wasn't a problem, but have you done drop ship shops before, and how did you manage minimum requirements with that?
Yeah, so well, for that one, we did not inventory a product, but we picked items that were one piece minimum options or small minimums, and we work with the client. So if it's an item that has like a minimum like 50 or so, we just work with them on figuring out, are they willing to purchase the additional inventory? If they are, we'll leave it on the shop. If not, we'll pick a different option. But I think there's definitely some suppliers out there that have some one-piece minimum options. So if you do have a smaller program, this one was decently sized, but a smaller program, there are definitely some one-piece options. Apparel, obviously, with embroidery works great for that. But we really try to figure out, products that can be one piece or small minimums, and kind of work with the client on that.
Yeah. Clients often think about just that project, and they don't realize that they can buy a minimal quantity and use those other products for other things. In fact, we can give that creative solution for some other uses. Naveen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you so much. And I encourage you to check out the podcast episode that I recorded with me, Naveen, because it's fantastic, full of really rich information. And I hope we get to talk again soon, Naveen. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Our next guest is Nanette Gray. She's the CEO and Chief Lemonade Maker at Lemonade Creative. Nanette is one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. So welcome to the stage, Nanette Gray.
Hey,
hi,
Bobby.
Hi, Nanette. That beautiful smile. How are you?
I'm freaking fabulous. How are you?
I'm great. We have to start with a story about you, because you were suspended from college.
Oh.
And years later, you were asked to speak at a leadership conference at the University of Louisiana. So how do you go from being suspended, which is like, I'm a solid C student, Nanette, so you're my people. How do you go from being suspended from college to a leadership conference at the University of Louisiana?
Bobby, I cannot believe you're putting me out there like that. You're going to taint my wholesome lemonade lady image. Yeah, well, so yes, I was absolutely suspended from college. A little bit too much tasty adult beverages, too many parties.
Lemonade career started early. Yes.
Oh yeah, it was
all right.
vodka.
Okay.
At the time, it was Taka. I don't do Taka anymore, but that's a whole nother story. But looking at the path, I was very distracted. I ended up with a 0.6 GPA and ended up on academic probation and then academic suspension. And so I was at a crossroads. It's like, okay, this isn't the life that I want to lead. And so I had to appeal before the board to be reinstated back in school. And I came back with a renewed focus and energy. And it wasn't exactly easy, because I still, in my personal life, had a lot of responsibility. But I ended up graduating and having offers from 3 companies upon graduation, with 2 being Fortune 500 companies. And so,
wow.
Yeah, I was really excited about that, because one of the things that made it cool was the fact that I had the lowest GPA of any of my graduating peers, but I ended up walking away with some really good opportunities. So I didn't let the mess that I created, mess everything up. It actually ended up with a message. And my message that I got from that was, it's not, where you're at in terms of the circumstances that dictate. It merely is the starting point. And you can go anywhere from there. The goal is just to not quit.
I love that. You have a philosophy. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I think that was really important.
I'm still like, Bobby, you put me out there.
It's a beautiful story, though. It's the story of resilience. It's a story I think we all need to hear. You have a philosophy at Lemonade Creative, which I love. It's 1 part merch, 2 parts inspiration, because we live in an industry where it's like all merch all the time.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? 1 part merch, 2 parts inspiration.
Well, we're still curating that message, but when you think about lemonade, you think about, there's a couple of ingredients that are pretty consistent. You have lemons, you have water, and you have a sweetener. And so with the 1 part merch, the merch is something that everybody has. All distributors, we use the same manufacturers, and we all have merch. But it's the little twist that makes the difference. And for lemonade, that twist is the inspiration. The two parts inspiration can be from a creative perspective, because as Naveen was mentioning earlier, that's where our industry's going. If you're just, an order taking kind of company, those are going the way of the dinosaur, and you have to add that level of creativity. So the creativity sparks inspiration. And then the second aspect of inspiration is just actually being a positive energy, just a ray of sunshine, because in this dark world, people are really excited when they could have a little bit of positivity. And
Yeah.
I remember it was, I think about 3 years ago, I had the honor of being on the second row in person to listen to Warren Buffett. And the Oracle from Omaha said that you want to create delightful experiences. And so I think that inspiration for us is delighting our customers.
Yeah, I love that advice because sometimes when you're in the business, particularly when we have supply chain challenges like we're having now, and it's just we're in day out can be really grueling. We forget that what we sell provides delight, and that enchantment I think needs to come across in all of our interactions with our customers. So yes, it can be difficult at times, but that's exactly right. Tell us about your favorite gifting project that you ever created for a customer.
Well, I have a lot of different projects. There's one that we're working on right now with a cancer organization. It's blankets for their patients, but we're still in the process of that. The one that I wanted to mention was one that was done last year during the height of the pandemic. And I'm going to use a dirty P word, the pivot. We ended up having to pivot the company. I mean, obviously, most of us did. No one's buying pens and notepads at the height of the pandemic. And so we pivoted to provide PPE, with a good portion of that being focused on masks. So it actually opened up a lot of opportunities for us. And one was a manufacturing facility that's located here in Baton Rouge, and they have their main plant down in South Texas. So what they wanted to do was put together care packages for their employees, and that would consist of a branded mask, some disposable masks, and a neck gaiter. They wanted to keep the cost low, and so the question that I always ask is, how are you going to present that? How would you like that packaged? Because I'm beginning to find that being able to add that little twist, a little fulfillment, it makes a really big difference. So this is an example of what the package that they were asking for looked like. I don't know if you can see that.
Right, we can see it, right.
I just wanted it to be inexpensive. But as a marketer, this is a really good opportunity, 2,100 packets for their employees. And so what we ended up doing was, for no additional charge, I just figured we'd make it up in the end, we created more of a care package for them that encompassed everything. And then we ended up personally delivering it down 6 hours to Point Comfort, Texas. So
wow. What did you learn through that project? Was there anything new that you learned about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I learned that the difference that packaging and creativity can make, because they didn't pay for this first one. We kind of, in Louisiana, we call it lagniappe. We gave them a little bit of lagniappe, a little something extra, but we made up for it big time because they ended up reordering 3 times. And so what I learned is, you can hear what the customer's saying in terms of, we don't want to spend much money, but then they're also saying, we want to give a care package to our employees. And it's like, okay, this does not show much in terms of care. So I learned that sometimes you can give them an estimate for what it is that they're looking for, but then also provide that little lagniappe. That lagniappe can make the difference.
I love that, because that's you can tell you're a real pro, because that's what the client said. We don't take dictation from our clients. That's just where the conversation starts. And I love how you turn that into that. How was this gift received? How did the audience receive the gift?
Well, during the pandemic, it was the height of the pandemic. So UPS was really how do you say it, bad in terms of delivering the packages on time. And with this being a large project, we didn't want to take the chance. So we decided to drive it all the way down to, to Texas, and it was a 6-hour drive from Louisiana. And, just getting to the receiving department and the receiving department opening it up, it was like it was Christmas,
Yeah.
They were like, look at this. This is so nice, because at the time there was a lot of scarcity in the market for what was available, and what we delivered was something that was above and beyond their expectations. So, and our feedback from the client was it was very, very well received.
I love that. A very timely gift. I received a box from a member of the Chickasaw Nation. So that's my heritage. And I received a box, had no idea what this was. And, I receive as a longtime swag professional, I receive stuff all the time. I get this box and it's from Chickasaw Nation. And I'm like, what is this? Open it up. And it's all full of PPE and hand washing, that just at the right time. It was, the timing was amazing. So it was a beautiful gift at that time. What 2 or 3 tips or advice do you have for folks that are developing projects for clients, things that you've learned through the past? What would you say to the community as some final tips or ideas?
A couple things. I mean, one is that what we just said is to listen to what it is that they're saying, but you also have to read between the lines, because what they're saying isn't always what they truly want. And once they see it, when they're talking about budget, sometimes budget is a little bit more flexible than they lead on to. So, that's one of the things that I would advise, is to truly listen. And then the second thing is to don't limit yourself to merch within the industry. There's some little things that you can do to bring things together that really give it that edge, to really make it stand differently. Because during the time that I put these packages together, part of the merch wasn't from the industry, but having the adaptability to be able to go outside. And even with some of the projects we do down here in South Louisiana, putting those little South Louisiana touches that are unique, that we won't find in the industry, I think that's something that I would advise this community to do as well.
Love it. Annette, thank you for sharing your advice with us today. You're a gem, and I appreciate every chance I get to talk to you. So thanks you for that.
Thanks so much, Bobby. Always a pleasure.
All right. Take care. Our next guest is Anthony McNally with Vanguard Promotions. He is one of the most joyful, fun, and damn smart people that I've met. I love getting a chance to talk with Anthony. He's been in the industry for about 15 years. Vanguard is based out of New York City with satellite offices across the country. They have a 100,000-foot warehouse. He has helped transition the company's sales force into a multi-channel selling team, which is interesting. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But welcome to the stage, Anthony.
Hey, Bobby. Happy Tuesday.
Hey, man. Good to see you. How is it in New York City today?
Another day. Sirens outside the window and sun shining through.
Yeah, it's great. It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Tell us a little bit about what I said in the intro. You helped transition the company's sales force to a multi-channel selling team. Since so many B2B buyers are preferring more and more digital interaction, this is kind of helpful to all of us. What did you mean by multiple channel, and what does that process look like?
Yeah, so before I got to Vanguard, they started the process of transitioning from a traditional print supplier for their clients to more horizons. So they got into digital marketing as well as promotional products. So what we did most recently was through Common SKU, we were able to change the workflow in a way that salespeople were able to start being more comfortable selling products that they weren't used to. Even if they weren't able to be comfortable, we did it in a way that it made them appear as though they were.
I see. So multiple channel can be not only digital, but multiple categories as well.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great. Tell us about your favorite gifting project you've ever created for a customer.
I probably have to say it's something I'm working on now. We have a client who came to us saying that they're looking to come up with a holiday gift for the employees that are returning to office. Obviously, they haven't been to the office at all within the last year and a half, and they wanted to do something extremely creative. But they didn't want the creative aspect to be focused on the product. They wanted to be more experiential. So what we did was we curated a good amount of product that's going to go into a box, and the box that's going to hold the pieces is actually a video box. So when the employee gets their gift, they'll open the box, and inside is going to be a video. What we try to do is kind of play on what's popular in pop culture. So in that video is actually going to be a celebrity cameo talking about the company, where they've been over time, thanking them for the work that they've done over the last year, and talking about the return back to office.
So I'm a little slow, Anthony. It's going to be a gift box with a gift inside and a video that has a message as well.
Correct. So when you open the box, that top will actually be a video with the cameo talking to the staff.
That's a great budget. I mean, most of us would love for a project with a budget like that to include both of those pieces.
It's more affordable than you think it is, especially when the content's on the focus.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
How did this project come about? Like, what were they trying to achieve ultimately with this in terms of on their onboarding? What was it again?
They're returning back to office.
Back to office. Okay.
Yeah. Ultimately,
okay.
Did they
have?
Good.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did they have a message they wanted to? That they provided you with, or did you help them craft the creative around that? How did that work?
We helped them craft it. They wanted to traditionally just say, thank you for the past year. They wanted to talk about where the company has been, where it's going, and what the return to office is going to look like. Obviously, you can do that on a 4x5 card, but if you find a pop culture icon to say, you've seen me on this TV show, and now I'm talking to you in your gift box, it makes a different impact.
That's really cool. Can you share a shop's story that involved gifts too?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm actually a big fan of shops. I love shops. So last year we had a client who traditionally every year does their sales kickoff meeting with us, but due to the nature of the environment, instead of doing it in person, they had to do it online. So they needed to gather the information for the staff and put something out. So what we did was we created a shop for them to go on and pick out items, not telling what the items were, and collected sizes and stuff. What we ended up doing was creating a return to office sales kickoff with a Oxford shirt, your traditional button down on top, and then pajama pants on the bottom. So we got to play with the fun nature of what was happening, because everybody knows you're on Zoom, you want to look good on top, but everybody knows probably wearing feety pajamas on the bottom. So we wanted to kick off their year of having them think differently about how they're going to interact with their clients by having their own kickoff meeting be a little bit different.
Very cool. Was that an inventory program? How did you handle merchandise? The inventory, non-inventory? What was that like?
No, it was non-inventory. With our shops, we tend to have the conversation up front with the clients. If you let them up front know, hey, there's a minimum for these items. As long as we hit the minimums, we're good. And something you touched upon earlier, anything that they use that aren't used from the shop, they can very easily manipulate it into something for later on in the year.
Yeah. One tip that I learned too through the years is that when you aggregate orders like that for a customer, as long as you help your client educate and communicate their employees and help so that you help manage expectations, because that's one of the challenges, right? You could be 3 weeks out on this project from when it launches to when folks are finally getting their gift. But if you communicate it clearly, then you've mitigated sort of the disappointment factor.
Absolutely. And at the end of every transaction, you try to put that note there. So when they're closing out, because they're going to expect the Amazon experience. Everybody's used to going on to Amazon. Your order will be at your house later this afternoon by 4 p.m. But manage your expectation. Let them know, this is going into print this day. This will be delivered to you this day. This is when you should expect it. They'll know what's going on. They won't be surprised.
Yeah. There's a question from the community from Pamela Gladder, who said, going back to the other project with the video, when you say more affordable, and feel free, Anthony, to say I can't divulge that, but what is your net cost on a project like that? Are you looking at a $20? Can you give us a range? Are you looking at a $50 unit price?
Yeah, so the cost of the box, I'll keep to the side, but the client's budget was within a $50 to $100 range per client. Employee.
Yeah, it's not as big as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
How many units? Okay. How many units were you actually delivering?
It was over 500 units.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, it's more about the products inside weren't high dollar pieces. They're just your traditional return to office that everybody's doing.
Yeah.
And then once you spread that cost out for the actual Cameo amongst the number of pieces, it's minimal.
But it was the whole experience, right? It wasn't just
Exactly.
sourcing an item; it was creating an experience in a box. You mentioned that you like doing pop-up shops for customers. Is it why? Is it because of the digital demand? Is it because it's easy? It's because these sounds like leading questions, but I really am curious why you like the shops for customers.
It allows you to create a unique experience without doing much. You know, you're creating a unique landing page, you're curating specific products for them, and it's not something that they're used to. Plus, the aggregation of data allows you to take so much information down to a single spreadsheet that it makes life for them and life for us easier.
Yeah, that's great. And it anchors you to a client because you've introduced a service that they just can't easily replace.
Exactly. And then you could also repeat those shops, change the products, change the layout, and they're used to the experience.
Right. What is it about? What's your favorite part, Anthony? You do ops, you're working with sales team, you're doing all kinds of things. What's your favorite thing? Is it campaigns? What do you enjoy doing the most?
Honestly, I love coming up with creative ideas. So I would say the campaigning part. When a client comes to you with an open project, a lot of times they'd expect an experience where you find that round peg, it's going to fit into the round hole perfectly. But I like the fact that here at Vanguard, we get to be more fluid. So I tell them I like to pour the water over the board because then you actually fit into all the different holes.
I haven't heard that analogy before. I love it. So tell me about a lesson you've learned through a project. As I mentioned to Naveen, that we often get the fortunate or unfortunate experience of learning through some of our projects. Have you ever had one go south? Have you ever had a problem with a project, but then later you're like, I'm glad I learned that?
Absolutely. To me, the devil is in the details. When I first started in the industry, a client came to me with a very simple request. They wanted to do pens with a one-color imprint that said "Runway for a Cure," and they were going to go out to an event they were having. Being new in the industry, I set the art, sent it to them, put them into production. The client got it, and they said, "Tony, the pens look great, the imprint looks great, but they said runaway for a cure, not runway for a cure." So,
no. That's a bad message.
It taught me very quickly that the devil is in the details. So you definitely want to keep an eye on everything you're doing.
That's great. The dance instructor Twyla Tharp has a great book called The Creative Habit, and in that she says there are no such thing as details. There's no such thing as details. And I think that's a beautiful way of summing up that all these projects we do for clients, every single little detail is important. So what final tips do you have to share, Anthony, with folks that want to learn how to do projects better, how to dig out more creative from their clients? How would you advise us?
I would say first is to explore, have conversation with your clients, talk to them about what they've done in the past, talk to them about things you've done in the past, even if it's silly things you've heard about in these type of webinars, because it may not be something that's going to fit for them, but it's going to spark a conversation in a direction that's going to find what will. And you're not going to hit that point without talking to them about it.
Yeah, I love that.
And then I would also say be relevant. No. Nobody relates to anything better than what's going on in the world at the present time. So don't be afraid of social media. Don't be afraid of pop culture. Don't be afraid of what's happening in the news. Stay relevant.
That's fantastic advice. I just listened to an interview with an ad exec that is just one of the most profound ad agencies in the world. And he said, a client can give you a project, but really where he finds the power in delivering on the creative is in culture, pop culture, and understanding what's going on. So I love that advice. I think a lot of us feel like we're in the slipstream, but I think what happens is typically when we come to our work, we have our creative world and pop culture in our backpacks, and we come across the threshold of work and we just kind of leave that alone. But you're saying bring that into the conversation. How can we make things relevant today?
Absolutely.
To what's happening? Yeah.
Your clients can very easily be your social media marketing department because they're always looking to spread the word socially so people are aware. And from them sharing, they're going to share you the same way.
Love it. Anthony, thank you so much. I love talking to you. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time.
Take care.
Bye.
Our next guest is Cindy Suji with Image Source in Seattle. She's such a dear person. I met Cindy 3 or 4 years ago, and one of the very first things that she said to me was, I want to help make our industry more conscientious about diversity. So naturally, when we talked about doing this event, I knew I wanted Cindy to join us for this because I wanted to talk about this very thing. So welcome to the stage, Cindy. Cindy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm great. Look at those beautiful flowers in the background. I love it.
Thanks.
You've got a lot of experience working with apparel programs in the past. Your career has been spent largely with like uniform type programs or gifting programs in apparel, and that's been a specialty of yours. What are some of the most successful opportunities that we should keep an eye out for when it comes to apparel and also the holidays or gifting?
Well, I think that especially this year is really important to consider scarves, beanies, and socks, and educating your clients on the challenges and benefits of choosing apparel for the holidays. You really need to identify the intent of what they want to do and achieve in the program, because with inventory, labor, decoration, lead time, ink, and yarn shortages, I would say the most important thing is to set clear expectations with the client, which is what everybody has said so far. But to be honest, this year I'm trying to steer my clients to more sustainable give back solutions. We have so many fresh new ideas to offer, but if you can secure your apparel orders in the next 30 days, I think it would be great.
Yeah, and so if a client comes to you and you know it's an item that's sort of risky in inventory, or you know an item that's definitely not healthy for the environment, you're suggesting, you in your mind, you have sort of a category of items or a list of items that you'd recommend.
That's right. Yeah. So if they come to me with something that is not realistic, I will just be upfront with them, transparent, and steer them in.
Yeah. Are there 2 or 3 tips when it comes to creating a gifting apparel program for holidays? Because we would get a lot of annual requests for gifts for employees around Christmas. Sizing is tricky, orders is tricky. What's the essential secrets? I mean, is it creating a spectacular merch engine? Is it e-commerce? Is it fulfillment? You've had all this experience. What do you think are the keys to building a really great gifting experience with apparel?
I think that creating a critical path document to share with your client to understand timeline and expectations for deliverables. If you don't deliver a pre-pro in time, you need to be fully transparent. If they don't improve the proof in time, the delivery is not guaranteed. This kind of keeps everyone on the same track with
I love that.
And complex projects. In order to get sizing right, you may have to remove the element of surprise by doing a fit line in advance or prepare a forms document. The employee can decide what size they want with a measuring guide. Or if clients already have the sizes of their staff, I recommend that they are prepared to order up to 20% backstock in case folks have changed in weight or need to do some exchanging or adjust for differences in brand specs and vanity sizing.
Yeah, I love that. 2 things that I really love, 3 or 4 or 5 actually. But one of them we'll focus on is that you mentioned a critical line path. And what we would often see when we were launching a shop for a customer is that they would say, we want this so we can gift employees for the holidays. And they would delay making decisions. We were hungry for the order and hungry for the business, but we would often have to say, okay, Miss Customer, if you do not respond to us by this date, this project will not happen. Is that what you mean by a critical path, making sure they stick with those deadlines, not just the deadline of the order, but deadlines of when they've got to get back with you?
Exactly. So if you've got your firm hand state, you work yourself backwards and know exactly when you need to. And you are completely transparent with the client, what the expectations are that you're responsible for and what they're responsible for to make sure that the delivery is correct. Yes.
I love that. And a lot of the delay on their part is because they're gathering opinions. And yeah, as an advisor, you kind of have to step in and sort of be assertive with them, because you can throw a garment down. I'm looking across at a big building headquarters, and I watched this happen. You throw a garment down in a boardroom and 10 people around the table, you're going to get 10 opinions on that garment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's a fit line? Is that like just sending sizes in advance so they kind of know the specs on the garment?
Exactly. So employees actually, when I do a uniform program for a new launch or a rollout, I will do one of every size from the smallest to the largest to ensure that an employee can actually try on a garment, and a manager, if necessary, needs to prove that they're in the correct size for what they need to be in.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the overages advice too. That's just great advice no matter what's happening. But you're going to have problems. You're going to have things go wrong with an order, or just the back order situation too. Cindy, when we launched Product Summit Holiday, we knew we wanted it to not just be about one holiday. We need to think broader and help our customers be more multicultural, more inclusive. So in addition to the Christmas observance, there's Hanukkah, Ramadan, Kwanzaa, Bodhi Day, Lunar New Year, Indigenous Peoples Day. We could go on Yule. There's so many rich moments in the calendar. LGBTQ Pride Month. How can we help our customers think beyond one or two holidays?
I think that it's really important to take some time to educate yourself first. Consider the privilege you have if you're Christian and get Christmas and New Year's Day off. Your holidays are acknowledged in the US. In addition, Thanksgiving is a painful national day of mourning for our Indigenous and Native people. Many Native Americans don't celebrate the arrival of the Pilgrims. To them, Thanksgiving, as you know, Bobby, is a reminder of the genocide of millions of their people, the theft of their lands, and the relentless assault on their cultures, right? I was raised Buddhist, and I don't get to celebrate Hanamatsuri or the Buddhist birthday with the day off. However, it's also been ingrained in me to not even consider to ask for that day off, right?
Right.
In our industry, we think of the factories closing in China to celebrate their Lunar New Year's as an inconvenience we have to work around in February. But consider all the Asians that don't take unpaid time off to honor their ancestors in the US.
Yeah.
So as sales professionals and consultants, we can use this time to educate our clients to be more multicultural and inclusive towards the holidays like Ramadan, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and Indigenous People Day. Was it really an inconvenience to say Happy Holidays versus Merry Christmas as a gesture of goodwill and inclusivity? Can we acknowledge Rosh Hashanah and say Shana Tova or Happy New Year to our Jewish friends? So create an opportunity for our clients to add some thoughtful swag to acknowledge these events. We have the power to guide and be the experts in adding value where our clients may not have had the time to consider new ideas. So make your clients shine with a bright idea for their leaders to think outside the box and get creative. Our clients are already aware that more diverse organizations are more profitable. So by adding value, you can embed yourself in an organization as a trusted partner.
Yeah, I love that because you help bring a strategic element. And by the way, if anyone sort of disagrees with what we're chatting about, we just have to be able to have this conversation in our culture today. So thank you. And I know you're very passionate about this. I love that we can talk about this. But the other thing is I love how our industry, we're the gifting industry, we're the experts. We can bring this conversation to our clients. You know, HR is dealing with this to some degree, but there are many customers. And let me just put my selling hat on for a minute. That means more holidays for us to celebrate and create experiences for us. So it's kind of interesting. According to a Gallup poll, 21% of the US population reports no religious identity or faith or tradition at all. So there can be employee days. I've seen companies now switching to like just having an employee day or something around that would celebrate that. So there's lots of really interesting opportunities. We don't want to just fixate on Christmas. There's so many rich and diverse options out there. What have you seen other companies do that involve a more inclusive approach?
So the emergence of employee resource groups within organizations is providing direct feedback on what employees want and how they want to be recognized. So as we're in the middle of the Great Resignation and severe labor shortages, employees want to be seen, heard, part of a bigger picture and community. So I'm celebrating my 6-year anniversary with ImageSource this week, and it has been a tradition to receive a bottle of wine with messages from the leadership team. As someone who does not drink, I requested something from a local dry soda company. It's not a big deal, but I felt safe to share, and they were accommodating. I felt seen and respected. Is it a nice gesture to receive a bottle of wine? Absolutely. But receiving the latest dry botanical bubbly is more meaningful to me, right?
Right.
So this is all great news for us. It creates more opportunity to shine a light on giving thanks in a thoughtful way. That can
Yeah.
be through sustainability or give back programs throughout the year, not just in December. And so it's expected in December. So how nice would it be to surprise and delight your people, spreading joy and kindness in June or any other month, saying thanks to employees and making them feel like they belong has never been more important.
I love that. Cindy, thank you for sharing. That's wonderful. Last question. As a member of the PPAI DEI task force, which maybe you can explain that before you answer, can you share what our association is doing to help our industry work toward a more inclusive workplace? Can you share where we can find more resources? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, your DE&I task force is working hard to provide education and content for everyone. We've been hosting roundtable conversations to provide safe spaces to ask questions and share stories. And we are excited to have monthly webinars scheduled through the end of this year. We're the stewards of the members, so we really hope you all get engaged and let us know what you'd like to see for the rest of the year in 2022. There's a DE&I playbook that is available for free to any member. Request a hard copy or download it. A lot of time was invested in creating it, and it provides the essentials and strategies for taking the steps to educate yourself. I encourage everyone to sign up to Promo Connect and get engaged with the DE&I community page. Just make a commitment to participate in one DE&I webinar in Q4. Let us know what you think. To be honest, if you are a Christian, white, cisgendered male or female, we're looking to you to get involved to improve our industry. We have such an amazing community and opportunity to improve the industry overall. That's our commitment, and we're optimistic that we can make a difference together.
I love it. Cindy, thank you so much for your time. You're such a delight, and I really, really respect you and the work you're doing. Keep bringing this voice and your conscience to this industry. We need it, and appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, take care.